Hey, hope you're doing well. Today I'm checking out a pedal board and power supply from the good team at Ghostfire. Ghostfire, how good is that name? Now they did send this over to me to check it out to do this video on the channel, so thank you very much to the team at Ghostfire. So in this carry bag is of course the pedal board, the SPL-04. It's an aluminium alloy, super light, 2.2 pound pedal board. It's super duper light, basically weighs nothing. Now I'm old, I've got bad knees, got bad back and a bad shoulder. I don't want to be carrying heavy stuff, so that definitely appeals to me. And that's it. It's super duper light, like I was saying. And what's awesome is that they have already got it pre-installed with some Velcro across all of the panels for you. And on the back side, they've even added some Velcro here, so you can add the power supply onto that. Great. It is an angled pedal board, so you do have the two short feet at the front. And on the back end, we've got these two little pull-out stands, just like so. So it'll sit nice and angled. So yeah, look, the build quality seems pretty good, you know? There's nothing on here that I would say makes it flimsy or frail. It's super light, so it makes it feel like you'd think you could break it, but you know, if I hit myself in the head, you don't do that. It's alloy. So yeah, that's the board. Great build, it's lightweight, cool. Obviously comes with its own bag, and they even send you out some more Velcro that comes in that bag to put onto the back of your pedals, and a little bag of both cable ties. These look like they're going to be wrapping up some extra leads if you've got some laying around. And also these little cable tie connector things with some pull-off sticky tab on the back, so you can have some awesome clean cables all by yourself. Makes me really happy that they've included that stuff. Those are the kind of things that I've always missed out on when I've built all of my other boards. With that said, my cable management is pretty atrocious, and I think it's because I've never really stuck to the same pedals all the time. I'm always pulling in and out different pedals, or at least arranging the pedals in a different order. That's on me. I just can't decide and I can't sit on one thing. With that said, my current pedal board that's on the floor there, I've had that like that for a while, so I should, in theory, cable that up. Now for the power supply. This is the GP8-SV2, 8 isolated outputs plus a USB output as well. So these are 8 truly fully isolated outputs, so you're going to get clean power to every pedal every time. These first 6 are 9 volt, and these back 2 are adjustable to be from 9 to 18. And these here are all the accessories that are included with the power supply, which is fantastic. Here is the power supply. It comes in its own little box. That's great. Cool. It's pretty small. I like that. As you can see there, that is the adjustable doobers on the back. Fantastic. USB out on one end. And check this out. Whole bunch of leads, manual, power, and great, the appropriate power supply for my country. Yeah. All right, I'm going to lock in and try to build this board. It might take me a couple of days, so I might look a bit different, but I'll see you on the other side. And here is the completed board. I actually quite like it. I have decided to update my acoustic board with the GT1000 core and the Boss RC500. Of course, I'm using the Morningstar MC8 for MIDI control and a couple of little extra pedals that I enjoy. So as you can see, the cabling is a little bit of a mess, but it's actually the cleanest that I've ever done. I just had to use what I had lying around. Turns out Ghostfire also do their own solderless cable kits. Now, I don't have one of those, so like I said, I just had to use what I had lying around. And apologies for this, Ghostfire. As you can see there, guys, I used a little patch bay from a different company. That's just what I had lying around. For the record, everything that I've been talking about today is available through a link down in the description. They are affiliate links, so if you would like to support the channel, click through there. It doesn't cost you anymore, but I do get a little bit of feedback, and it's a way of supporting the channel, which would be really cool. Speaking of supporting the channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button. I did actually get the opportunity to try this out at 2 gigs over the weekend. Now, the first time I put this together, I actually had these things over this side and this in a different configuration as well. And turns out it was backwards to how I like to perform. My left foot uses a stomp box. So to have the all start, all stop here on the looper over here, my feet were too close together and that didn't work. So I had to completely swap the bottom. And because I only had limited cables, turns out some of the leads weren't going to reach for the routing. So I had to swap the whole top section as well, which was a bit of a pain. But then at the second gig, this was the perfect configuration and it worked great. I will point out that I do actually have a couple of extra risers on the back here to get these a little bit higher. I don't really need that for the GT1000 core because the Morningstar is controlling that. And the tuner here, I've got it on its own little thing, as you can probably see there, just to get it a bit higher because obviously tuner. I do have a tuner in the GT1000, but this was easier to set up, so I went with that. This is the bottom. Like I said, it's a bit of a mess, but it's pretty good for me. I did end up using the little sticky things, and I've cable tied in the power leads. All of the other cables are separate, and these little Velcro cable ties came in really handy. You can see I've got quite a long lead here that goes from the power up to the patch bay, and that's just holding it in place there so it's not going to fall out. As most of you know, some pedals require a bit more power than other pedals. So the GT1000 core, for example, needs 650 milliamps of power, but each of these outputs are only 500, so it's not going to power it. What's great is Ghostfire in that pack of leads included a current boost cable, which essentially taps into two outputs and goes into one output. So I'm able to power the GT1000 core that way. Yeah, it does take up 2 slots, but in this situation, it's worked out perfectly. My only complaint there is that the one going into the core is the straight end, whereas every other power lead, you can do the right angle into the pedal. So it kind of sticks out a little bit. But as it turns out, once I've got this in the bag with these things, the board's going to sit in at an angle anyway. So that's not going to press against the bottom of the bag. It's not going to wreck the lead. So that's all right. I also include a voltage boost cable. Now, I don't really know the difference between a power combiner and a voltage boost, but you've got that. Comes with a reverse polarity cable. Also, I don't know why, but you've got that option if you know that your pedal does that. And the other cable that I love is this 9-volt attachment. I didn't end up using it. This would come in handy if you're going to be using a Boss FS6. As you can see, I'm using the Boss FS7, which is the top and bottom, and it has its own power supply in, whereas the Boss FS6 takes a 9-volt battery only. There's your answer. That's fantastic. I do prefer that FS6 because it's got separate buttons, but as you can see, there's no room for that pedal on this board. So these little feet turned out to be great. Once it's set up, it's not going anywhere. I did find though, I did occasionally have to slide and move the board to get it into position, and the foot, I would push on it the wrong way and the feet would, fold back in. But once you've got it set, it's actually pretty good. It's quite a snug and tight fit into the bag, so it's not gonna move around and get anything wrecked. The power supply sits just that little bit further out than the feet. So you will have this on the bottom of the bag, which is not a big deal. As you can see, this patch bay does stick out further, but again, this is not a Ghostfire product. This was just what I had lying around, so that's this thing's fault, not Ghostfire. Now, you remember that there were 2 strips of Velcro just in the middle here, but you can obviously see that I have more things stuck down than what Velcro there was. So I just did add a little bit extra Velcro this side and this side to be able to stick this and this one. Now, I first thought that wasn't going to be too sturdy, but that's stuck there. It's not moving. Absolutely no complaints. Cool, so just to show you quickly how it all works. Obviously, this is the tuner I'm running. This is brand new for me. I've never used a little poly tune before I bought this just a couple of weeks ago, and I like it. A nice silent switch, and it tunes the guitar, so that's good. So the acoustic sound that I use for majority of the songs when I'm just doing acoustic gigs sounds like this. So all I've done is this button down here I've assigned to clean everything up. So as you probably saw, that button in the middle there was on, and when I press it, that turns it off. That's just a little bit of light chorus. When I turn it off. So it's not much, just a little bit to give it a bit of something, something. Here is the master delay on and off. Not a lot of delay, I think just a little bit every once in a while sounds fantastic. Sounds better when it's in tune too. This button here is a lead boost. That takes the chorus off, brings a distortion in and some delay. So of course, I have a looper there, which means I loop things. Then if I want a bass line, I bring this guy in. I've got the acoustic tone blended in there as well with the octave, and that sounds pretty decent. Every once in a while, I'm just going to want a little bit extra bass, but not have a full bass line. So I've got a second block in there. The poly octave bring in the bass note up to a certain point. I think roughly the 5th fret on the A string, so a D. It's pretty subtle, but in a full PA with a sub, it sounds pretty decent. This button over here, that's going to activate my black hole reverb. Brings that pedal up here, on and off. Now, that is my favorite reverb ever. Love that pedal, it's fantastic. And I've got the Terra Echo over here as well, and that's accessed by this button here. So the Black Hole Reverb I have on the output of the GT1000 core, and the Terra Echo is in the effects loop in stereo of the GT1000 core. This button here, I've got a second page. Now this more or less just activates different functions on the Black Hole Reverb there, so different sizes, and that's more or less it. The looper, of course, does looper things. This button is record, play, overdub, stop, track select, all start, all stop, and clear. So just to show you what that does, that is now looping. That's now in overdub mode. Let's put a second loop there. Fantastic. And then I've got a stop, start, and a clear. Easy! And there we have it. That is my newly built pedal board courtesy of Ghostfire. Thank you again to the team for sending me out the board and the power supply. I'm thrilled with this new build. Thanks so much for watching. Stay tuned. See you next time.